Hi, we are doing a retirement plan presentation today for CSR for E6 class, and my name is Anzi.
I'm Qiu Xu.
My name is Yixiao San.
I'm Yu Yang Liu.
I'm Ziwei Wang.
In the first stage, we're gonna talk about the retirement plan. Having a solid retirement plan is one of the ways of securing a financially stable retirement. It enables individuals to avoid incidents of running into financial difficulties when they can no longer make money. A good retirement plan is critical for persons in both employment and businesses, since it enables them to plan their current income and assets for future use. An important aspect of retirement planning is appropriate allocation of assets into good investment opportunities. Individuals interested in planning their retirement could invest in products such as bonds, stock, or in real estate. Appropriate investment of savings is a key to successful retirement planning. A knowledge of tax system is also vital in retirement planning because it enables one to plan withdrawal from 401k and the Social Security account in order to minimize the taxes. In order to develop a retirement plan, it's important to consider the retirement goals of an individual as well as the retirement age. This retirement plan describes the planning of income and the saving for Mr. James Anderson in order to achieve his retirement goals. It's worth nothing that this plan is intended for a purpose of planning by a client who has the ultimate responsibility of implementing the recommendations of the plan. Since personal goals and the tax law change frequently, it's advisable that the plan be reviewed and updated at least annually in order to be relevant. So, the personal information, James Anderson's personal information. James Anderson, born in May 16 in 1982. His wife, Alicia Anderson, is born in December 5th, 1986. Anderson's child, Richard Anderson, his birthday is February 15th and born in 2030. James Anderson is a 32 years old resident of Chapley, Florida. He has a wife and a 2-year-old daughter. James is currently employed by One South Bank while he works as an accountant at the Chapley branch. Prior to joining One South Bank, James had worked in other banking institutions in Florida. He has worked at the One South Bank for the past 2 years and has been seeing his banking career grow steadily. James' professional goal is to become a chief financial officer of a large company, particularly in the bank industry. James also hopes to have enough money to maintain a comfortable life for himself and his family. James' wife, Alicia Anderson, is a community worker with an international NGO. James' financial goals is to having sufficient income during his retirement plan and have enough money to pay his child's education. He intends to retire at the age of 62 with at least 1.5 million in retirement savings. After retirement, James estimates that he will live another 22 years, during which he will be using his retirement savings to sustain himself and his wife. James' risk intolerance could be described as a moderator. He says that he does not mind investing in risky investment, but he would not want to lose any part of his investment principles. Investors with a moderate risk tolerance accept that the likely loss of their principal is a natural function of the investment risk they're undertaking in pursuit of higher returns. The risks in such case may be reduced by diversification and the constant review of assets locations. Diversification of investments ensure that possible loss in one class of investment is offset by a possible gain in another. Therefore, an investor has a low likelihood of losing part of principal. This alternative applies to James because he does not want to lose any part of his principal. Next, Yuan Liu will analyze balance sheet.
The allocation of assets is an important determinant of success of retirement plans. Different assets has different income generating ability as well as different the implication. It is therefore important to assess the current assets and the liabilities allocation in analysis of the Andreessen family's assets and liabilities as shown in the balance sheet below. From this table, we can see the total amount of 401k is 16,000 and the total amount of Roth IRA account is 13,000. The total assets is 677,000. The total net worth is 477,000. Next, NZ will talk about the breakdown of the assets.
And as shown in the figure above, and you can see that Anderson's family's major investment is in their home and life insurance. And the family's home is worth about $250,000, and which takes 37% of the net worth asset in 2014. And the home, together with the life insurance and the mutual funds, are the biggest investment the family has currently. And the three assets make up 74% of the assets owned by the company, while the others make up the remaining of the 26%. And a significant portion of the assets taken up by the health and the life insurance policies show a good financial stability because these are the assets with a low risk and guarantee the family's stable future. And the mutual funds are equally less volatile and can be considered less risky compared to stocks and other investment in the money market. The proportion of the family's assets demonstrate their moderate to low risk profile. The family has invested significantly in non-risky investments as a way of reducing exposure to volatile movements in value of the assets. Life insurance and the mutual fund take up 19 and 18% respectively for the year 2014. And the family has two classes of assets for retirement purposes, which are the 401k plan and the Roth IRA account. There is a substantial decline in the proportion of assets invested in these retirement accounts. Investment in the 401k make up 9% of the total asset, while the Roth IRA make up 4% of the total assets. And in total, the family has invested $90,000 in retirement account, which is 13% of the total asset owned by the family. The U.S. equities investment is significantly at 7%. The family owns $50,000 worth of stock, and this shows their low-risk profile since they are not willing to put substantial amount of money in the volatile stock market. However, the family has invested a small proportion of their assets in managed account, which form 2% of the asset value. Similarly, the car and the cash at the bank takes low proportion of the assets at 3% and 1%. Respectively, overall, the asset profile for the family is well balanced, and with greater portion being allocated to less risky assets and the more risky ones taking a smaller portion. And for the expenses breakdown, and maintaining a good retirement plan also involves taking appropriate action toward planning for the client's expenses. And if the failure to a plan well for expenses can result in failure to have adequate savings for meeting the intended financial goals. The Anderson family incurs most of its expenses on food, clothing, utilities, taxes, mortgage payment, and car expenses. And the table 2 below shows the major expenses for the Anderson's family. And the expenses incurred by the Anderson family in 2014 may be represented in form of a pie chart in order to show the proportions of each expenditure item. And here is the pie chart. And as shown in the figure, mortgage repayments form the largest part of the family's expenditure, accounting for 27% of all expenses in 2014. And the family spends a significant portion of their incomes in financing their homes, but the loan repayment will cease before the retirement period begins. The second major source of expenses for the family is food and dining, which is about 22% or $12,500 for the entire family expenses. And the taxes are also a significant part of the family's living expenses. In 2014, the family expenditure is accounting for 19% of all expenses in 2014, and then the family spent $8,500 in 2014 for car maintenance and fueling, and an additional $2,500 for car insurance premiums. And the utility expenses and the medical expenses take significantly lower portions of the family expenditure compared to the other expenses, which is only about 4%. And the family expenditure is expected to reduce substantially after retirement. And currently, the family spends $56,700. But this will fall to $350,000 and in retirement. And the major reason why the living expenses will reduce in retirement is that the family will no longer make mortgage repayments, and the mortgage repayments currently takes the largest part of the family's current expenditure for the family, and its elimination from the expenses items will significantly reduce the expenditure incurred by the family. In addition, food and dining expenses will reduce by $2,500 in retirement, and this will contribute towards lowering the overall expenditure since the couple will no longer have children. Its expenditure on food items will reduce too. Moreover, the income taxes expenditure will substantially reduce from the current expense of $12,500 to $2,000 in retirement. Since the couple will not be in active employment, their income taxes will definitely go down. However, all other expenses will increase slightly because of additional requirements needed in the old age. Like for instance, older people get sick more often than the younger people, and this explains the increase in medical expenses. Nevertheless, the overall expenditure for the family will reduce by almost 50% when James retires. Next, Qiuxu will talk to you about the cash flow analysis.
Okay, now I'm gonna talk about the Anderson's cash flow. After interviewing the Anderson families about their retirement needs, it was recommended that their incomes be distributed in form of annuity. This distribution method is appropriate because it enables the client to exhaust all their funds before death. The client has a joint salary income of $180,000, and it is expected to reach $240,000 by the time of the retirement. The investment income from his investments and those from Social Security current average around $120,000. The investment income expected to annually by between 8% and 13% until retirement, when it shall drop to steadily thereafter due to discontinuation of Social Security incomes. The client's expenses will grow by 1% annually by shutdown in retirement. The mortgage repayment will be cleared in 10 years. However, the expenses are not expected to reduce because of their expenses, such as increased travel and vacation expenses that will become part of family's expenditure. Now, this is a table of cash flow for James Anderson prior to retirement from 214 years to 2044 years. From this paragraph, we can find that as Anderson will retire with a cash flow about $2.8 million by the year 2044. The client's income will grow steadily over the years, and he will be working because the joint annually salary will have increased in $240,000. In addition, the growth in investment income will have reached about $2.9 million by the year 2044. However, the expenses will grow over the years due to inflation and reach a highest of $66,000 by a client's retirement time. Therefore, it is necessary to invest in opportunities that will generate these incomes for clients to achieve his investment goals. The cash flow statement for the second one, we can see this is cash flow for the Anderson's family from before and after retirement. This comparison shows that the cash flow shows the client's cash movements after retirement. After retiring, the income from salary will no longer be coming and disturbed. The cash flow for the next 22 years following retirement show that Anderson will have a steady cash flow for the first 20 years before having the negative cash flow in the final 2 years. The cash flow show that he will exhaust all his savings before pass on. His cash flow position could be considered strong since it allows him to get adequate distribution for his entire lifetime. Okay, now Ziwei will talk about the.
At last, I am going to make a summary and a suggestion for Anderson family's retirement plan. The analysis of the client's balance sheet and the cash flow shows that he is in a good position to achieve his long-term financial goals. Currently, the Anderson family has an assets worth $677,000, while their only liability is a second loan of $50,000 and the mortgage balance of $150,000. The family has a net worth of $477,000, which is adequate to finance their retirement plan. The analysis of the client's expenses shows that his expenses will increase consistently for the rest of his working life, but reduce to a constant $35,000 during the retirement. The inflationary pressure on items such as food, utilities, and car expenses are the major cause of the sharp increase in the client's expenses. However, the expenses will reduce significantly after retirement because he will no longer be paying the high income tax. From the analysis of the Anderson family's position, several suggestions are made to enhance the success of family's long-term financial plan. First, the family should maximize their Roth IRA and 401k distribution, since none of them is currently taking advantage of these distributions. It's necessary to maximize their distribution early enough in their career, since they will grow and compound over the years, providing a stable source of retirement income. It suggests that Anderson receive a payment as an annuity immediately after retirement, as shown in the cash flow statement below. This will providing a stable source of cash of his use during the retirement period, and will help to avoid any possible cash flow challenge due to the volatilities in the investment income. It also suggests that the client expand his life insurance policy because the current policy may be inadequate to cover his expenses in case of loss in his retirement income. Finally, Anderson should explore other investment opportunities, such as building rental houses and other high-income investment that could supplement his distribution during the retirement.
And thank you for the
watching.
listening.